Hi, I'm Marcia, and this is my hammered dulcimer. And this is episode 2 of what I'm calling the coronavirus series. I started these little virtual visits when I was no longer able to go make my weekly visits to see some folks in the nursing home and some of the retirement communities. And since so many of us cannot get out anymore, I thought it might be of interest to some other folks as well. So we're putting it on YouTube and invite you to follow the series along. I have 5 tunes for you today. 3 of them are Celtic lullabies, and 2 of them are pretty little tunes and newer tunes about friends. The lullabies, I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them first. The first one is My Little Welsh Home, and the lyrics to it are very nostalgic. The singer is longing for a beautiful place that he remembers or she remembers from long ago. Very sweet, very fond memories. The second tune is Farewell to Glen Shallock, and it's from Scotland. It was written, I think, around the mid-1700s, and it talks about a horrible battle of Culloden. It was had many political aspects to it. Was devastating in the loss of life. I'm not going to get into politics and the history; it's too complicated. But the words in the lullaby rue not only the loss of life, but the loss of a way of life that the singer thinks will never come again. And that's probably right. And the third tune is a Manx milking tune, Manx being from the Isle of Man. I don't know that there are any words to it. The tune has a different name, but I can't pronounce it. It's a dialectic name. So, I guess the whole theme here is thinking about places we used to know and that don't exist anymore. I grew up in Springfield, Ohio, and haven't been living there since the late 60s. Springfield is also where John Legend grew up. How about that? And I live in Strasburg, Pennsylvania now, which is in Lancaster County. And, there are people here, too, who've spent all their lives here and still, of course, regret that things aren't the way they used to be. So as I play the tunes, I guess I invite you to maybe wander back to a place where that you remember as very, very calming, very peaceful, very pretty, something that's a favorite memory. Maybe it's a town you grew up in, maybe it's a grandparent's home, maybe it's just a neighborhood spot that you really liked. But while you're listening to these little lullabies, let your mind wander back to the past and some of the pleasant memories that are there. three of those little lullabies are tunes that I've learned in classes with Karen Ashbrook, who lives in the DC area. And Karen is a certified music practitioner, and she often plays in hospitals and medical centers in that area as a means to help people who are in pain or in the process of healing, and is much appreciated for the work she does there. Sometimes when I visit with people, they ask me about my hammers. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. The ones I was using for that are these pretty things that are kind of blue and orange striped, made by Bob Bedard. And for a hammer dulcimer player, choosing hammers, I would say, is a lot like a magician choosing a wand. There are different kinds of wood you can choose. There's slightly different weights, slightly different lengths, different ones. Some are rounded, some are pointed, some they have different feel to them. So, you're always trying out the hammers and then trying it out on the instrument to see what you think sounds good. And these are, well, people notice too that there are two different sides on here. One side of these is bare wood, but that's not the side I was using. It is a louder sound. But the other side on these has a kind of a thick piece of leather on it. And sometimes what's there is felt or maybe even rubber. And of course that side is a softer sound. So for the lullabies, I chose the softer side for a softer sound. And for these next two pieces, the songs about friends, I'm going to use my rosewood hammers, which are made by the same hammer maker, but they sound a little different to my ears anyway. These two tunes are much more recent than the lullabies. The first one is a Valse for Paul, and the composer, Wim Posen, is Belgian, and believe it or not, it was originally composed for bagpipes. And so if you look for it on YouTube, you will find whole choirs of bagpipes playing this pretty little tune of Wim Posen's. And he wrote it for a friend of his who had tragically lost his sweetheart in an accident and was deep in the throes of grief. So this is his Valse for Paul. And the second tune is called For Love of Friends, and it was written by Dan Duggan, and he wrote it in appreciation of his friends who had given him some really significant help through a very serious illness. So this was to show his appreciation for them. So first is Valse for Paul, and then For Love of Friends. hope you spend a little time during the week ahead, perhaps thinking about some favorite places from your past and remembering some of those very pleasant details, and also spending some time thinking about friends, perhaps being able to chat with them over the phone, or just remember the good times that you've had. The next episode in my series is going to be some old-time music. We're going to pick up the pace. There will be some livelier tunes that have been around a long time, and I hope you'll want to listen into that. I thank you for listening to my lullabies and tunes about friends for my virtual visit with friends, and thank you for listening.